I'm pretty sure, no, I know I'm not alone in this, but I really don't like Jurassic Park 3. Like, really don't. I know people say it's an inoffensive 90-minute film, but to me that inoffensiveness is almost offensive, and I'll explain what I mean. Excuse me. The previous two Jurassic Park films strived to be more than generic dinosaur films with actual ethical debates and smart writing, so to have a generic, boring, dull, and dumb sequel kinda just ruins that. I hope to properly go into depth as to why this film fails, and I might cover Fallen Kingdom 2, but that'll take a long time, and I have other stuff to do. The film starts with these two going parasailing or whatever when we get our first view of the green screen effects, and they're not good. It's so obvious as none of the clouds or the water moves, and there's long shots, so it's much more noticeable. We then go on the most dumbest and randomest things ever, like when the boat is shrouded in mist and the two people on the boat mysteriously die. Not parasailing, but there's two other people named like Enrique and Helmsman. Like, what killed them though? Like, the Spino couldn't have, because why would it be swimming out in the open ocean? And it would have destroyed the boat, like, completely instead of just ripping it apart. And there would have been screams, etc. And if it was pteranodons, well, that just doesn't make sense. Or pterodactyls. I call them pterodactyls later in the script, so I'll call them pterodactyls. It just doesn't make sense because they're in the cage later in the film. And if they killed them, why not the defenseless kid and the uncle? Or, no, not the uncle. Why did I say that? Like, the boyfriend, I guess, in the air alone. Either way, we transition to a kid making two toy herbivores fight, as Alan tries to correct him, saying herbivores don't fight, as we see Ellie Sattler with a baby, but it's not Alan's baby, but Mark, a guy in the State Department. Why did they do this? It feels like a middle finger to one of Alan's arcs in the first film, which I guess is like learning to like kids, which sounds really weird, as well as learning to change with the world around him. It's just so dumb and random. Ellie and Alan talk about Alan's recent findings about the raptors and the fact that they can vocalize and talk to each other, which is actually pretty cool. As he leaves the car, I just get reminded how weird this film is compared to the others. The scene takes place in what looks like a romance movie set, or the set of a romance movie, or the set of a Friends-esque show, not a movie about dinosaurs. Alan talks to a group of quite bored-looking people as he explains how we should be focusing on the dead dinos, not the ones that are, and I quote, genetically engineered theme park monsters, which they are. I can't believe people still unironically debate this, even when the main character says they are from experience with these things. And even if they aren't, their effects on the world will be too dangerous, like killing poachers and destroying safaris and houses and being used by people to create more dangerous versions. I could go more in depth on that with the Fallen Kingdom one, because that goes more in depth on the whole, like, should we keep the dinosaurs alive, which we shouldn't. Oh, and Alan says how no force on heaven or earth would get him to Sorna, which is why after a scene of three mirrors clearly blowing shit up and Billy and Alan just messing around with the raptor fossil chamber, they get persuaded to come to Isla Sorna by Amanda Kirby, who say they're rich and have done everything. Get ready for a totally cool and unbelievable twist. Oh, and Billy also has a lucky pack with foreshadowing to the scene with the avian cage, which is kind of cool. That scene is definitely cool. I'm just saying this foreshadowing is kind of cool. We then get one of the most interesting scenes when a raptor Alan has never seen before says Alan. Now here's my take on the scene. It's dumb because he's never seen the raptor before, but it makes sense as earlier talked to about the raptors being able to communicate. I'm sorry, I'm gonna restate that over. I mean, it makes sense because earlier he talked about the raptors being able to communicate, and he tried to get the parrot to say his name. It's just, why not the parrot, or maybe have a few raptors talking to each other, not in human form, but, I don't know. Then seeing him and killing him. Something like that. Just, I don't know. The scene is kind of smart, but generally just kind of dumb at the same time and confusing, but I understood the purpose. They get to the island and land, despite Grant trying to stop them. Amanda, of course, does the smart thing and yells into an island full of dinosaurs trying to find out where their son is. Of course, all that does is attract a dino, and apparently some people were confused and surprised by the fact that it wasn't a T-Rex, despite the poster literally having a Spinosaurus as the main thing. I mean, maybe they expected it to come later, but still. Everyone but Cooper gets on the plane, and I just realized they heard the government or someone with power over the plane, like over the comms or whatever, tell them not to enter. How do they plan to live after this with the Costa Rican government after them for basically committing a crime, right? Because this place is restricted. And even just other governments being like, oh yeah, we don't want you because you committed a crime, that's a restricted place. If people start to learn that, hey, these random ass people that worked in a hardware store, because yeah, that's a twist, and some other people got into this island, why can't I? It's just, how do they plan to live after that? The Costa Rican government is going to be after them. And yes, they did say they have permission, but again, that was part of the lie, I believe, or I don't know, but the people in the plane heard it and they just turned it off. It's like, how do you plan to live? Like, if they find out that you basically turned it off, you could probably be in jail for literally just hearing the consequences and not flying. You'd just be like, you could get in trouble for literally hearing their warning and turning it off. I feel like that could also be an extra punishment. Oh well, the plot has to get moving some way, which include Cooper getting conveniently in front of the plane just so the Spino can conveniently kill him and cause the plane to crash. Here's something. Why did he just stand in front of the plane? That would just get you killed or literally nowhere. Also, why didn't they just have the plane start to go up, then have Cooper run maybe behind it or near the plane, with one of them having the gun out if the Spino appears, shooting it, which might destroy a window in the process, but you can fix it, or heck, maybe you can open the door and hang on with somebody holding you, then land right after and pick him up or something like that. I mean, you wouldn't suffocate because there's still a lot of air. It's not like you're high up. I mean, you might fall, but like if somebody holds you and you have a steady grip, I mean, you should be fine. Or just something like that. Or maybe don't start without Cooper, like he's one of your professionals. Like, that's kind of unprofessional that you leave one of the people that you hired just to die. That's not really going to be good on like a resume or something. Either way, Amanda sees the Spino, but of course it ducks. Oh wait, did I just forget the fact that, oh yeah. Also the plane crashes. I think I already said that, but yeah, the plane crashes in a tree and Amanda sees it, but the Spino ducks, so the others don't really see the Spino and they act all calm despite, seeing it kill Cooper before. What? Okay, nice logic there, movie. The front of the plane gets ripped off, or as Dead Meat says, I think it falls off because this movie's cheap, which it is in a sense, despite having a nearly $100 million budget. Even if you want to do reverse inflation or whatever it's called, and say now it would actually be the nearly $100 million budget, $93 million to be exact, it would still have a lot. $63 million is budget to be exact. Maybe a few $100,000 more, but you get the point. It's cheap for literally no reason. They had a solid budget. I don't know why that looks so cheap. They could have just had CGI hands going on the plane thing and like digging holes into it and then like ripping it out, or just grabbing and ripping it instead of, I don't know, piercing it or whatever. It's cheap for literally no reason. They have absolutely no excuse. It's not like where they're having a whole island exploding and a bunch of crazy stuff like that. Like, this movie's relatively small scale. They say how Paul and Amanda divorced about a year ago and how they probably aren't going to make it off the island. Which, I wish. Don't get my hopes up, Alan. But, doesn't actually make it off the island, but I wish he did. Udesky. He's actually kind of funny and entertaining. It's a shame the actor also died from, I believe, an epileptic seizure. Oh, when they find out the dinosaur that attacked him with the Spinosaurus, which is obvious, and that it wasn't on InGen's list, which is like, how do they know that? I know Alan went to the original park, but he didn't work with them. If somebody knows, please tell me in the comment. Don't call me an idiot. And Spinosaurus, if you're watching this, please don't fucking take it out of context or something like that and be like, oh my god, you're such an idiot. Like, fuck you. Also, Kirby's the liar and just owns a hardware store, which I already said. And for some reason, I just feel bad for him when he admits it, and like, the people get mad at him. I don't know, maybe it's just because of his like face. Looks like a child, or the fact that I can't really get mad at a hardware store person. They find the parasol and find out that at least Kirby's safe, but fuck Ben, I guess. Why did I say Kirby? I forget who even is Kirby. Eric is safe, but Ben, fuck him, I guess. Well, it doesn't matter if they care to find him, as he's dead, as they find a cheap-ass looking skeleton. Also, there's raptor eggs everywhere, and they find an abandoned building with more eggs and a raptor in a nice scene with some actually good music. Anyway, the raptor chases Amanda and Bill into a tight spot with a door, but I guess it notices that it can climb over the door. Although, since the space, like, between, like, the gate and the door is, like, so tiny, because humans aren't, like, these people aren't, like, super duper fat or anything. The raptor wouldn't really be able to get them. It'd probably just fall down, like, kill them, but, like, accidentally probably get himself trapped or something like that. It's just like, it would either just fall, or even if it tried to stand on the door, it'd also fall. So not a great way to show its quote-unquote intelligence. The two trap the raptor, who then calls for help as the main group leaves. The group goes into a herd of dinosaurs, but Udesky is caught by the raptors, who they leave as a trap and promptly kill with a neck snap. Elsewhere, Alan Grant is caught by the raptors and is saved by someone who turns out to be Eric. They talk before a pee joke happens. I shit you not. Which also reminds me, there's a shit joke later. Which reminds me... Wait, I just said that. Oh, and there's one Jurassic World that was deleted, I think, which was weirdly sexual with Claire rubbing the poop up her leg. Ew. Dear God. Either way, the joke is that it's T-Rex pee. Get it? Neither do I. Oh, and Eric says, Alan doesn't want to know how he got the pee, even though that seems just like a convenient way to have a pee joke. Eric hears his dad's satellite phone jingle as the family along with Billy and Alan meet up. But it turns out the jingle was from the Spino's belly, and a halfway decent joke, if it's supposed to be a joke. If not, still kind of funny, I guess, or just entertaining. They all run, and Alan and Eric get through the gate, and so does the Spino, a bit easily, despite the fact that it's supposed to guard that dinosaur along with the other ones. But it also can't break through a weaker gate like a metal wooden one, whatever it is. It's not like it showed way too much damage. Like, yeah, it roared in pain, but if it really suffered a lot of damage, it probably just would have left them alone. Oh, and the twist, Billy stole raptor eggs to fund the dig site, which I guess makes sense, but I guess that makes him on the level of the people that build a place for monsters, dinosaurs, which doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, he did a bad thing, but it wouldn't have caused tons and tons of deaths. Maybe yours and the rest of the group, but like, the island killed a lot of people in the second movie, and because of that, a rampaging T-Rex was loose, which probably cost a lot of money in terms of like lawsuits and stuff. They ventured down to one of my favorite scenes in the film, maybe even franchise, when they stumble upon a cage for pterodactyls. This scene helps prove that the series is literally horror. Like, this scene is supposed to be suspenseful and scary, and so is the Spino. Like, you can't argue. All these films have horror scenes, enough to count as horror films. Eric gets grabbed, but rescued by Billy, who gets pecked to death, or almost to death, by pterodactyls, which I hate because it would have been a dark as hell and heroic death. The four escape onto a bone, as Alan says, so Billy just wanted to touch the dinosaurs for real, instead of like studying them, as we then see dinosaurs for real, which is actually kind of clever, or if not, it's at least cool. See, that's the thing, this movie has moments of greatness which start to elevate it from a generic movie to a thought-provoking one, but never sets sail, which is really disappointing. This could have been like a really good movie. The four find the satellite phone not inside the Spino, but rather it's poop, and then we see Tyrannosaurus, which is actually like really cool. That's, oh my gosh, that's really cool, like variety of dinosaurs. Then I guess it smells the poop and then leaves. Really? Are you fucking kidding me? A shit joke? And you get an actual cool dinosaur that we haven't seen before, and then just for a poo joke? Great. We then get a cool scene with the Spino arrives, with a fight intercut with Barney. Really? That just ruins the tension? On the climax of this film is really fucking lame, y'all. It's just a Spino near some fire and it leaves. Again, really? That's our climax? Just a Spino roaring a bunch and then leaving? It chased them for that long, encountering God knows what, just to leave from some fire? Bull fucking shit. I guess it's because it's not really the main antagonist. The raptors are, which force the humans to give the eggs, but like, they really aren't antagonists either. And even if so, it's so dumb having the small, weaker dinosaurs not be the main threat. Or actually be the main threat, when the super cool hybrid is not the main threat. Like, what? That's like the main attraction of the film. Like, it shows up in the plane crash scene. It's the main attraction, but it's also barely in the film. Like, it shows up in the plane crash scene, the Rex fight right after that, the satellite phone scene, and I guess that's it. Well, no, including the scene, that's it. So that's 4 scenes. The raptors were in that chase scene, the building scene, and I guess the trap scene as well as part of the ending. So that's really it. 4 scenes again. That's so dumb. There's no antagonists. They just are there sometimes when the writers realize, hey, this is in fact a dinosaur movie. There's a variety of dinosaurs, but they just briefly show up, and there's barely a survival aspect apart from Eric's subplot. Either way, the film ends as they get in a helicopter and Billy's alive and the pterodactyls escape with happy music. Wow, that's not fitting in the slightest. That was Jurassic Park 3. Pretty dumb. It had good scenes and some halfway smart dialogue and a few likable characters, but one dies early and there really isn't a villain as well as the mercs, only being there just to buff up the kill count or the cast number. It's just so dumb. And the film just generally is very generic and it's just not really deep. It's just kind of boring. Like, you're gonna forget about it. It's just, I don't know, it's such a uninteresting movie that's just like a collection of scenes. It's like a generic slasher movie, just somehow worse, and with dinosaurs and a bigger budget. It's like a big budget dinosaur slasher film. It's just, I really wish it was something different. It had more meaning. It was actually more thought-provoking instead of just this generic, boring garbage. It's just like scene after scene. None really stick. None really have an impact. I mean, I guess the birdcage scene and part of the ending is good, but that's kind of it. It's just, I don't know, man. Like, especially the Spinosaurus, man. It's such a lackluster dinosaur for this film. Yeah, it does some cool stuff, but it's kind of a generic monster movie and just barely in it. Oh, and apparently people like to think that's not a hybrid because it's just like the others with the genetic code being filled up with other stuff, as well as Dr. Wu saying that, but here's the thing, it's not a hybrid because I searched up the definition basically for genetic code, and this is what it says. Genetic code is the term we use for the way that the 4 bases of DNA, the A, C, G, and T's, are strung together in a way that the cellular machinery, the ribosome, can read them and turn them into protein. In the genetic code, each 3 nucleotides in a row count as a triplet encode for a single amino acid. Another basic definition is the genetic code is a set of rules used by living cells to translate information encoded within the genetic material, DNA or mRNA, sequences of nucleotide triplets or condones into proteins. So no, genetic code won't make them look different at all or make them act more like monsters. It isn't clever and it's quite dumb. On the fact that this ends a trilogy is just so retarded and dumb. It's so small scaled and just not as important as, like, say, the first or the second, where people know dinosaurs exist, etc., etc. This is just a torn apart family coming back together. So, yeah. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want me to cover Fallen Kingdom, write it down in the comments. So, yeah. Bye-bye.